Picture this. December 13th, 1981. Shrewsbury, Shropshire. You glance at the thermometer and it reads -25 degrees Celsius, the coldest December temperature ever recorded in England. And this wasn't a single savage night. It marked the beginning of 7 relentless weeks that would push Britain harder than anything since the winter of 1963. This was the Great Snow of 1982. From early December through mid-January, the country battled ice strong enough to crack glass, snow deep enough to swallow villages, and cold that seeped into your bones. For those who lived through it, the memory isn't just about freezing temperatures. It's about neighbors turning up with shovels, strangers sharing coal, and learning what truly matters when the world grinds to a halt under ice. It started quietly in early December 1981. The month opened mild. Aberdeen recorded temperatures as high as 15 degrees on the 3rd. People walked around in light jackets. It felt like winter might pass Britain by altogether. Then December 7th arrived, and everything changed. The wind swung north. Arctic air poured down from Scandinavia. By the morning of the 8th, heavy snow blanketed southern England. Wiltshire and Berkshire saw depths of 15 centimeters. Roads turned into skating rinks overnight. Airports shut. Trains stopped. Phone lines failed. And almost no one had been properly warned. Thousands set off for work and never arrived. Cars were abandoned in ditches. Buses stalled halfway up hills. What should have been a normal commute became a 7-hour ordeal. And the cold tightened its grip. On December 11th, another blizzard hit, this time slamming London. Snow piled up 25 to 30 centimeters deep across the suburbs. Parliament struggled to operate. Even the Queen found herself stranded for hours in a Cotswolds pub. No one escaped it. Then came December 13th, the night Britain truly froze. Temperatures plunged below -18 across vast areas of the country. Shrewsbury hit -25.2, the lowest December temperature England had ever recorded. Wales reached -22.7 at Corwin. Records untouched for more than a century were obliterated in a single night. That same week, 2 ships sank in the English Channel. Gale-force winds whipped snow into whiteout conditions at sea. Coastal defenses along the Bristol Channel were breached. And on December 19th, tragedy struck off the Cornish coast. The Penly lifeboat capsized while attempting to rescue a stricken cargo ship. 16 men were lost. Britain mourned. The cold showed no mercy. It simply kept coming. The freeze didn't just arrive, it took over. Breath crystallized in midair. Ice formed on the inside of windows, not delicate frost, but thick sheets you needed a blade to scrape away. Mornings required preparation. Bedrooms felt like freezers. Bathrooms were worse. Getting dressed meant moving fast. Central heating was rare. Most families relied on a single coal fire downstairs. One warm room. The rest of the house became polar. Families gathered in living rooms layered in jumpers and blankets. Hands stretched toward flames that only warmed you if you sat inches away. At night, you burrowed under layers of bedding, 4, sometimes 5 blankets. Clothes for the next day were laid out by the bed because drawers meant frozen fabric. Some slept in coats, not out of poverty but survival. The snow didn't stop. December 20th brought more. Then the 27th, wave after wave. By Christmas Day, Lincoln lay under 33 centimeters of snow. North London had 10 inches. And the real issue wasn't snowfall, it was the cold. Temperatures stayed below freezing for weeks. Nothing melted. Snow stacked layer upon layer. Rivers froze solid. Harbors iced over. Along parts of the south coast, the sea itself froze, leaving blocks of ice on beaches as tides receded. Fishing boats were trapped. Inland, roads vanished beneath drifts reaching 6 meters high. Entire villages were cut off, no post, no deliveries, no escape. By early December, most mums had started stockpiling. Tinned food, extra bread, milk bottles lined up because fridges couldn't hold them all. Running out wasn't an option. Shops shut, roads closed. Forget something and you did without, or knocked on a neighbor's door and hoped. Shopping became an expedition. Queues formed outside bakeries at dawn. People waited an hour for a single loaf. Shelves emptied fast. Sugar vanished. Butter was quietly rationed by shopkeepers who knew their regulars. In snowbound villages, families went weeks without fresh milk. Condensed milk in tea became routine, the taste of making do. Power cuts were constant. Over 250,000 homes lost electricity during December alone. Ice brought down overhead lines. When power went, everything stopped. No heating, no lights, just candles and coal fires. Families sat in darkness playing cards, telling stories, waiting for electricity to return hours later. Schools closed not for days but weeks. For children, it felt like an early Christmas miracle. Endless snow, no lessons, fortresses built that lasted into the new year. Sledges emerged from sheds. Tea trays vanished from kitchens. Baking sheets were borrowed without permission. Anything that slid. Every street claimed its hill. The best runs were defended fiercely. Kids spent entire days sliding, trudging back uphill, soaked, frozen, and smiling. Gloves stiff with ice, clothes drenched. Nobody cared. This was a winter you knew you'd never see again. Snow lay so deep you walked atop hedges and gates. Drifts towered over adults. But beneath the fun, life was harsh. Elderly people struggled. Hospitals filled with hypothermia cases. Doctors trudged through waist-deep snow making house calls, bags frozen solid. Roads stayed blocked for days. Helicopters dropped supplies to isolated farms, bread, medicine, essentials. Farmers watched helplessly as sheep vanished beneath drifts, cattle froze in fields. Thousands of animals were lost by January. The cost was devastating. Farmers didn't complain. They carried on. That's what you did. As December ended, hope returned. New Year's Day brought rain. Snow began to melt. Relief spread. Then, on January 3rd, the cold came back, harsher than before. January 7th, 1982. Snow began falling across Wales. Not light flakes, not a passing shower. A full blizzard. For 36 hours it fell non-stop, driven by gale-force easterly winds. Temperatures hovered between -2 and -4. The snow was dry, powdery, and endlessly drifting. By January 9th, much of Wales lay buried. 60 centimeters of level snow across Glamorgan and Monmouthshire, but the drifts were terrifying, 6 meters high in exposed areas. Cars vanished. Houses became white mounds. Gates disappeared. South Wales was cut off for 3 days. Roads blocked. Trains stopped. Airports closed. Millions couldn't reach work. London commuters gave up. The Midlands stalled. Whole towns became islands. The army was deployed. Soldiers with shovels carved paths meter by meter. Helicopters delivered bread and milk to villages untouched for weeks. It was a military operation, and it took days. In Swansea, people listened to Swansea Sound radio non-stop. The station became a lifeline. Appeals went out. Anyone with a four-wheel drive. A woman in labor needs help. Mrs. Jones has no bread. People responded. Strangers became heroes. Farmers opened homes to stranded motorists. In Horton, villagers lived days without power, little food, no heat, helicopters dropping supplies from above. People walked atop snow higher than the gates below. Inside homes, life became basic. Water boiled in kettles for washing. No baths, just flannels and bowls that went cold halfway through. Dads counted coal, burning anything that would catch, newspapers, broken furniture, just to keep fires alive. January 10th brought the coldest morning ever recorded in Britain. Bremer hit -27.2 degrees, matching the all-time UK record from 1895. England followed close behind. Newport, Shropshire recorded -26.1, the coldest temperature ever measured in England. That afternoon, Bremer's maximum temperature reached -19.1. The warmest point of the day was still brutally cold. People said breathing felt like inhaling glass. Lungs ached. Faces burned. Skin numbed in seconds. As far south as Wiltshire, daytime temperatures stayed below -10. On January 13th, thick fog blanketed the country. Visibility dropped to meters. Roads became deadly. Cars skidded. Lorries crashed. And still people carried on. Postmen delivered. Milkmen made rounds, because that's what you did. But here's what people forget about the Great Snow of 1982. It wasn't just about survival. It was about community. When streets disappeared, neighbors showed up. Cars were dug out together. Elderly residents were checked on daily. Food was shared. Church halls and community centers filled, not just for warmth, but company. Tea was poured. Dominoes played. Stories shared with strangers who became familiar faces. When everyone was freezing, asking for help wasn't shameful, it was normal. The BBC reported calmly. Severe weather continues. Motorists advised to take care. No hysteria, just quiet confidence. It's bad, but we'll manage. We always do. By mid-January, the cold finally loosened its grip. Warmer air drifted in. Snow melted. Roads reopened. Trains ran again. Britain, exhausted and smoke-stained, began to breathe. When milk arrived unfrozen for the first time in weeks, people actually cheered. Life returned, slowly. The winter of 1982 wasn't just about records. It was about people. Britain didn't break. Neighbors helped. Families sat together by one fire, actually talking. We had less, but somehow it felt like more. If this brought back memories, share them below. Were you trapped by snow? Did school close for weeks? Do you remember walking on buried cars? Subscribe to keep these stories alive.